Tonight, a red-hot court case from this summer, the so-called Black Swan. Was it murder or was it self-defense?
David, I have the exclusive interview with the ballerina at the center of it all. Not on stage, but on trial for murder. An all-new 2020 begins right now.
I was living a nightmare at home. It was terrifying. It was like two different people, and I never knew which Doug I was gonna get.
You're 24, he's 54. Were you worried about her connecting with this guy who's so much older?
Things didn't start off well. It was like, oh yeah, Eva, this is my new wife.
I felt like Ashley was taking my dad away from me.
It was all a masquerade. I mean, can I straight up say that? Doug was not who he portrayed himself to be.
That was sort of like, what's going on?
So you're thinking that your husband, the man who loved you and seemed to adore you, would poison you?
I read the allegations and I thought, oh my God, this is crazy. Doug never poisoned Ashley.
Is it possible that maybe you just imagined this?
Maybe it was all in my head.
But you know now that this sounds pretty dysfunctional.
Doug, what are you doing? You tried to ruin your life. I don't think he could have ever guessed what was going to happen to him.
I've never been so scared in my life.
Growing up, Ashley Benefield wanted nothing more than to become a world-class ballerina. She never dreamed that one day she'd be wearing a court-ordered ankle bracelet along with her pointe shoes.
Man County 911, what is the emergency?
Okay, it was right next door to me. She came in, she was quite hysterical. She said that he attacked her and she shot him.
Where is the gun?
I have it right here, ma'am. It's sitting on the floor. Where in the house is he?
Deputies are moving as fast as they can.
A normally quiet Lakewood Ranch neighborhood turned into a bloody crime scene.
Was it murder or self-defense?
It's a story with a lot of twists and turns.
The 32-year-old former ballerina alleging he attacked her in her home and that she fired back multiple times in self-defense.
Miss Benefield was in great fear of immediate and severe bodily harm.
A woman out on bond, still awaiting her fate.
So many law enforcement officials said, no, this isn't adding up.
Former ballerina at the center of the so-called Black Swan murder trial.
Only two people know exactly what happened. One of them is a suspect for second-degree murder. The other is dead.
Until now, Ashley has remained silent about the night of the shooting, about what happened in that house in this Florida community. But tonight, in her first interview, Ashley Benefield tells her story.
Fingers are rolling.
Hey there. Your first time doing this, so here we go. Let's go back to your life in the beginning. You wanted to be a ballet dancer?
Yeah, actually, I started when I was 8. A family member was dancing on Broadway, and I was very inspired by her and what she was doing.
And what was it about ballet that captivated you?
It's complex. It's something that is beautiful and powerful, but at the same time, there's a lot of control and you have to be reserved. I think it's just the kind of dynamic of all of the things combined.
Ashley grew up in Maryland as an only child. Her mom, Alicia Byers, says they had a special bond. Your marriage dissolved, you split up with her father, and you raised her as a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for the two of you?
At first, it was an adjustment, but, we did well. We're very close. She was blessed with a lot of talents. And so it was a real joy raising her.
And at some point, she becomes smitten with ballet.
Very, yes. She got to the point where she did it 7 days a week.
I was training during the day, all day. It was an everyday, all day thing.
She soon learns that it takes more than ability alone to make it as a professional dancer. Ashley's 5'9" and considered by most ballet companies to be too tall. something no amount of training can overcome.
There are height ranges in companies. A lot of that is because of partnering and complications that can arise if you're not well matched height-wise.
The ballet world tends to be kind of cookie cutter. It was hard finding a good fit for a company.
With her height and then a hamstring injury holding her back, Ashley decides to hang up her point shoes in her early 20s. You begin to shift your focus a little bit. In 2016, you became captivated by politics. What led you to the Trump campaign?
Well, I'd actually always been interested in politics. I wasn't looking for it. The opportunity came up, and I was just finishing up with one chapter of my life, and it seemed like the right thing to do, so I jumped in.
Ashley's job for the Trump campaign was to go to rallies, and she would rile up the crowd, pray with the crowd. You could actually see videos of her online. She thought she was going to be part of the Trump team.
In her diary entries from this time, Ashley says she felt a special bond with candidate Trump. She writes, "We got to the plane early and waited for Mr. Trump to arrive." Ashley writes about her hopes for her future. She writes kind of a plea to God. "I want to be a wife and mother. Please bring me to that special man you've chosen for me."
Ashley wanted children. She wanted a family. She prayed that God would bring her a man to be with her. She made it clear in the diary what her plan was.
In August of 2016, in the thick of the campaign, her prayers seemed to be answered while attending a fundraiser at Dr. Ben Carson's home in Palm Beach, Florida. At some point, you meet a man named Doug Benefield.
Yes.
What did you think of him?
He was charming. Very funny, really smart, confident, but quiet. We were there for political reasons, but then also he was a man of faith, shared similar interests.
Those common interests included politics, God, and guns.
First night that Doug and Ashley met, Ashley had a gun in her bra. Doug, who has a military background, he thought, wow, look at this girl. Like, she's strong and she's powerful and she's, not afraid of weapons, and everything about her was just great.
He nicknamed you Ashley Oakley.
Yeah, we both had very strong opinions about the Second Amendment. That was something we bonded over. I had a concealed carry permit. You wanted to be a responsible gun owner. We talked the whole night. When the evening was over and everyone was leaving, we were texting and up till 3 o'clock in the morning. It just seemed like I had met my soulmate. We were like the perfect match. He kind of swept me off my feet. It was like a whirlwind. I think it was about 4 days in when he first told me he loved me.
4 days? That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was quick.
Something else Ashley says didn't bother her was the couple's significant age difference. You're 24, he's 54.
Yeah.
You're a young woman. Suddenly you're being romanced by this 54-year-old man. Did anybody in your life say, slow down, Ashley?
No, it just kind of happened.
But the bliss wouldn't last. Ashley learns that the man she's falling for has been married before.
Nothing was adding up. The more I tried to figure things out, the more the story changed.
And she says she begins uncovering secrets, leading her to wonder just who Doug Benefield really is. In the summer of 2016, 24-year-old Ashley Benefield is on the road stumping for Donald Trump when she finds romance at a Palm Beach fundraiser. Did sparks begin to fly between you two?
It was like an instant connection, yeah. We both had that evangelical background, so we spent a lot of time talking about that.
Doug Benefield grew up in a Baptist family, the middle of 3 sons, with a stay-at-home mom and a father who worked as a scientist at NASA.
Doug graduated from high school in Huntsville, Alabama. He was a top wrestler in the state. He decided to follow his father and our family to Texas A&M.
After graduating from college, Doug joins the U.S. Navy in Pensacola. He rises through the ranks quickly, and the Navy assigns Doug to a position in Charleston, South Carolina.
While he's working for the Defense Intelligence Agency, he gets involved in renovations of old historic buildings with people that he meets in Charleston.
Doug started up some businesses here, a restaurant, some other things. He had a group of friends and colleagues.
He loved it there. And one of those locations that he most loved was out on Sullivan's Island. Doug found a small hole-in-the-wall Irish pub called Dunlevy's Pub. That same Irish pub is where he meets his wife, Renee.
If someone were to ask me to sum up Renee in a few sentences, it'd be very difficult. She's stunningly beautiful but doesn't know it, and loves to make people laugh.
Doug has a pretty quick courtship with a woman named Renee Kauser. They marry, and in 2001, their daughter Eva is born.
My mom was the sweetest, happiest woman you would ever meet. She was an angel walking on earth. She was never, ever, ever in a bad mood. She loved everybody.
Doug's marriage to Renee, by all accounts, was a happy marriage. Of course, ups and downs, but generally a happy marriage.
Doug and Renee and Eva together are just this triad. They're just three together all the time. You never saw them apart. Happy, beautiful family.
But when Eva is just 14, the happy family suffers a devastating loss.
I was waiting in the pickup line outside of my school, and she wasn't there. And I went home, and nobody was answering the doorbell, and I didn't have my key, and my mom wasn't answering her texts.
Eva called and said, I can't get a hold of my mom, and Dad's in Dallas. And so I get on the phone with Doug.
Doug asks Melody for help. Her husband goes next door and breaks into the house to find Renee unresponsive, face down on her bed.
I just remember going back out on the porch and seeing my neighbor's face, and he shook his head, and I knew that she just wasn't there anymore. She passed of an underlying heart condition. It was shocking.
An autopsy reveals that Renee died of natural causes.
He tried to stay really strong for me, and I never really saw him break down from it. It was different. It was quiet in the house. It was just different.
Then, just 9 short months after her mother's passing, Eva meets a new woman in her father's life, Ashley Benefield.
I heard about her on a Friday. I met her the following Saturday, and then Sunday, I was up in my room, and my dad came upstairs, and he said, Eva, we need to have a conversation, all three of us. And I said, no, I think the only thing that I would be interested in hearing is if you told me that you proposed to her. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, he said, we're married. Yeah, it was a lot.
Eva's not the only one blindsided by the quick marriage, which happened at a secret ceremony just 13 days after Doug and Ashley met.
First time I hear anything about Ashley is they're married and she's already moved in to Doug's home in Mount Pleasant.
How did he propose? Was this a formal get on his knee and propose to you? How did that happen?
It was more of like, hey, we should just do this. Like, let's get married. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
They move very quickly, and before you know it, they're engaged and married.
Yeah, it was like, whoa.
What was your wedding like?
It was small. It was just me and Doug and 2 of his friends.
So suddenly you're Mrs. Benefield.
Yep.
Were you happy?
I was thrilled. Yeah, I felt like I had finally met my soulmate. I think a lot of it had to do with Eva. He really sold me on the fact that she needed a mommy person to be there. And I guess I felt needed and wanted.
But Eva, still grieving the loss of her mom, says she neither wanted nor needed a stepmom, especially one so close to her in age.
The age difference between me and Ashley is 8 years. Anytime I hung out with her and we were shopping downtown, we would get mistaken as sisters.
How did you get along with Eva?
I think things didn't start off well because she didn't really find out until after we were married. It was like, oh yeah, Eva, this is my new wife. And it didn't go over well.
I will just say this, he messed up. He messed up by jumping in to a relationship and not inviting his daughter into it. That was, I think, a huge mistake.
My dad seemed very excited and happy, and I also understood that he was grieving differently than me.
Ashley and Doug are moving full steam ahead. They don't just want a romantic partnership, they want to be business partners.
It seemed like we found something once again that we were both equally passionate about, so we just hit the ground running.
But what Ashley and Doug don't realize is that both the romance and the business will soon self-destruct.
You can't make promises and not live up to them.
Like, what's going on? People were mad.
I found out that it was all a masquerade.
My name is Sarah Muraski. When I was a young girl, I saw a performance of The Nutcracker, and I fell in love with it right away. I knew right in that moment that's what I wanted to do with my life.
After years of sacrifice and dedication, Sarah finally gets her big break. She's cast in the Pennsylvania Ballet's production of The Nutcracker, in the lead role, the Sugar Plum Fairy.
It was like it was a fairy tale in a way. In that moment of my life, it was everything I could have dreamed up.
But Sarah says one night backstage, her dream is unexpectedly shattered. She's told that the company is going in another direction.
The director took me aside and said, "You're too tall." For me to even think that it was done was unimaginable after sacrificing my whole life for this moment, for this career. It was a few months after that that I received a message online from Ashley Benefield.
Ashley says she and Doug were talking one night when they had the idea to start a ballet company that would include all kinds of dancers.
I was a tall dancer. I'm just a tall person, I guess. I just been talking about how there were things in the ballet world that I didn't think were right. And that, well, you know, if it was up to me, I would do it differently. And he was like, well, why don't we do it?
Ashley called me. We spoke. I remember her saying things like, I want to make a change for ballet. I want ballet to be able to show its beauty in the best way with all different kinds of dancers.
The concept was diversity. I trained with beautiful dancers of all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds, you name it. And I watched them have a hard time getting a job. I was frustrated by that.
You came up with the name for it, American National Ballet.
Yep.
So he was going to handle the business part, and you would be more creative.
Yep. Doug had done a lot of like fundraising for different companies, for a lot of these kind of up and coming tech companies. And I remember him being like, oh, you know, tech companies and ballet, like I'm sure we can, you know, fundraise for both.
Doug sat down with me and directly asked me, I want you to work with Ashley. You know what you're doing to help get the basics of the company started.
He said they were doing a ballet company, and I'd come home from school and Ashley was in the dining room with headshots laid out, sticky notes everywhere.
When I was originally brought in, Ashley had already hired, there were 50 dancers in the company, which surprised me because when you're first starting out, that's an awful lot of money that's going out, and you don't have any money coming in yet.
That was sort of like, what's going on? It just seemed like a lot for a company that was starting out, and that maybe they were biting off more than they could chew.
Even though he doesn't have the backing yet, Doug is convinced that he can raise the money. So dozens of dancers from all over the world flock to American National Ballet with the promise of year-long contracts, state-of-the-art studio facilities, even a housing stipend for apartments in the heart of Charleston.
The idea was remarkable. The execution was a little less.
It became somewhat apparent fairly quickly that Doug was overpromising and not going to be able to deliver on all of this.
In the fall of 2017, the dancers began arriving, only to find that the promised housing stipend isn't available, and the original rehearsal space promised doesn't exist.
And then I think in like mid-October, word started to get out that the dancers weren't quite getting paid in a traditional way, that they were being paid in cash.
Doug was then pulling money from every source that he could of his own, money that he didn't have, to try to just fund this ballet.
It just got worse and worse each day. I didn't know where the company was going.
Adding to the chaos, Ashley is nowhere to be found. Not at rehearsals, not working with the dancers. She seems to have just vanished. And meantime, Doug is so financially strapped that American National Ballet ends up laying off nearly half of the recently hired dancers.
It's all fine and well to conceive of an amazing, ambitious dance company. It's great, but if you can't deliver it, somebody's going to get hurt. And the dancers, certainly in this case, are the ones who got hurt the most.
The very next day, after half the company's dancers are let go, Ashley suddenly reappears. Not in person, but in a post on social media, writing in part, "I publicly disavow my support for American National Ballet," and adding, "I'm no longer associated with this organization in any way."
I was horrified. I didn't know all of the things that were falling apart behind the scenes. I didn't see it coming. I no longer wanted to be part of it.
Ashley left the scene, and then Doug abandoned the scene. He's like, one day he just wasn't there anymore. The organization evaporated.
People were mad. People were very angry. Because losing your job in ballet is not like, okay, I'm gonna go on Indeed and see what's, who's hiring. You're kind of locked out for the year until the next audition season.
American National Ballet has hurt everyone. You can't make promises and not live up to them, because there are people's livelihoods that are involved. There are people's dreams that are involved.
Some fault Doug for mismanaging the ballet, and others blame Ashley for disappearing.
Ashley's absence from the ballet company was a very significant basis for the failure. She was the face of this company. When she left, the dancers, they didn't have anything.
But Ashley says there's a reason she left Charleston and the ballet behind. She claims she had to, that her very life depended on it.
He pulled the gun out and started waving it around. I was living a nightmare. It was terrifying. It was like two different people, and I never knew which Doug I was gonna get.
In less than a year, Doug and Ashley Benefield's American National Ballet goes bust. What very few people knew, though, was that behind the scenes, the same was happening to the couple's marriage.
Doug always explained to me that the biggest factor of growing tensions at home was the conflict between Ashley and Eva.
I felt like Ashley would try and act like my mom and tell me what to do. And I was like, you were less than 10 years older than me.
Ashley says while American National Ballet is getting up and running, Doug and her arguments over Eva and the ballet become more frequent, aggressive, even scary.
He would yell and scream and cuss. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Things would be happy and okay one moment, and then the next minute he was out of control.
I never really saw a shift in their relationship, but that's also because I was trying to stay out of it as much as possible. I said, okay, if my dad's happy, I'm happy.
On June 15, 2017, Eva is out of the house when a heated argument between Doug and Ashley quickly escalates.
He pulled the gun out and started waving it around. He threw the gun at me. He said that if I left, that he was going to kill himself. I begged him not to. And then he pulled the trigger, and the bullet went into the ceiling.
At a legal hearing the couple will later attend, you can hear Doug's own voice as he describes this incident. While he doesn't deny the argument or firing his 9mm, he disputes Ashley's characterization of the fight.
You did discharge the gun into the ceiling, correct?
Yeah, I did. It was a horrible decision.
She says, he then threw the gun at me. That didn't happen, did it?
No, I did not throw the gun at her. I just kind of spun in the chair and threw it against the wall.
She says, Doug then grabbed the gun again and held it to his own head, threatening to kill myself. Did you do that?
No, I did not.
Ashley says at another point during that same argument, Doug physically abuses the family dog.
He hit Sully.
Your dog?
Sully got between us and he punched him.
At that same 2018 hearing, Doug tells a different version of this story to Ashley's attorney.
You also punched the dog the day that you discharged the firearm?
He jumped up in my lap. He's a big dog. I admit I hit him. I didn't hit him like you would, hit a punching bag or anything, but I hit him. But yes, I was probably too physical with him.
Were you beginning to rethink the marriage?
After he shot the gun in the house, that's when I really realized that I had a problem. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what was coming next.
What comes next for the couple is a bit surprising. A celebration of marriage 9 months after their initial hasty I-dos.
They had a wedding ceremony right after that. Everyone's smiling. She's smiling.
People had already booked their tickets and everyone was coming. And I didn't want them to see that part of my life. I felt like a failure. I didn't know what else to do.
Even with their turbulent marriage, Doug and Ashley decide they want to have a child together. In August, you find out you're pregnant. What do you think initially?
I was scared. It was supposed to be like a happy thing, but my heart dropped. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Here again, Doug's story differs from Ashley's.
It wasn't an accident, of course, that she got pregnant. It was planned. Doug had had a vasectomy years ago. Ashley paid with her own credit card for Doug to have a vasectomy reversal, and they then started to try to get pregnant.
One thing both sides do agree on, Ashley had a difficult pregnancy.
It was rough.
Morning sickness?
Yeah, and it wasn't even morning sickness. It was like around the clock sickness. I couldn't eat. He couldn't take care of me, and he drove me down to Florida and dropped me off at my mom's house.
Doug's life is a whirlwind. He's got his hands full in Charleston with the ballet company and raising his teen daughter, Eva. And he's spending his free time driving to Florida to be with Ashley. The two are in constant communication.
Doug was driving back and forth to take care of his family, spread across these two states. And he had to also be back in Charleston because on September 18th, this was going to be the big launch of the American National Ballet. Ashley was not going to be able to be present for the launch, supposedly because she was so sick.
But at that very moment, what Doug doesn't know is that Ashley and her mom are driving from Florida to Charleston, not to attend the ballet launch, but for an entirely different reason. On September 18th, you decided to move your belongings out of Doug's home.
Yeah.
She wrote a note alleging some things were wrong in the house and that there had been some abuse or at least violence on his part and that she was therefore leaving him.
Ashley writes, "Do not harass or try to follow me, or I will call the police." And then goes on to say, "I will talk with you only via text. And do not call me or my mom. We will not pick up."
He was completely stunned. He had no idea Ashley was leaving him.
Just after learning that his wife is leaving him, Doug is again blindsided by a restraining order, barring him from contacting Ashley. The expectant dad then hires family attorney Stephanie Murphy to act as an intermediary.
Doug wanted to be present for the birth if Ashley felt comfortable. I sent the letter to Ashley asking, can Doug be part of the birth?
But Murphy says shortly after sending that letter, Ashley gives birth to a baby girl named Emerson, 3 weeks before her due date. Did you tell Doug?
No, there was a restraining order, so I couldn't legally have contact with him.
But he's the father of the child.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you intend for him to find out?
I mean, I knew he would eventually.
Doug didn't know that Ashley had given birth. He learned through an injunction that she filed that the child had been born, and that was several weeks after the child had been born.
Doug's not on the birth certificate. She didn't even give Doug the respect of naming his daughter Benefield. She gave the baby's last name as her grandfather's name. He was devastated. He was devastated that he missed the birth of his child and that he was not able to see her.
But Ashley says she was only doing what any mother would do. She believed that Doug was a danger, not only to her, but to her newborn daughter, too.
At first, I attributed it to morning sickness, but I started to wonder if there was more to it.
Every morning, you would make sure she drank the tea. Why? Why was that so important that she drink the tea?
It's April 2018. Ashley Benefield is a new mom, changing diapers, nursing her infant daughter. And at the same time, she's filing court papers seeking a protection order against her husband and the father of her baby, Doug Benefield.
So it would just basically put up a wall between Ashley and Doug.
It's not just that incident with the gun and the dog. Medical records suggest that she was in good health. Still, she says she had a growing suspicion that the terrible morning sickness she had wasn't just a routine part of her pregnancy. She wondered whether she was being poisoned by Doug.
It seemed like crazy and far-fetched, but I realized that the tea that he had been giving me, if I didn't drink it, he would get really mad at me. And I started to wonder if he was doing something to the tea.
She started telling me every morning he would make sure she drank the tea. Why? Why was that so important that she drink the tea?
I did some toxicology testing through hair testing.
And what did it reveal?
That I had been poisoned.
The results from the lab Ashley privately hires for her hair test show extremely high levels of heavy metals like aluminum, barium, tin. The tests on baby Emerson also detect toxic metals. So you're thinking that your husband, the man who loved you and seemed to adore you, would poison you?
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't know why.
Ashley says she became so concerned for her health that she resorted to some pretty serious measures, including more than 20 sessions inside a hyperbaric chamber like this one, along with her infant daughter. Ashley says her hope was that this high-pressure environment would help detoxify their blood. She insists that her fear that Doug had tried to poison them was real. Others call it fiction.
Doug never poisoned Ashley. Never. I read the allegations and I thought, oh my God, this is crazy.
Doug's family attorney points to those medical records during and after Ashley's pregnancy, showing her to be in good health.
The day after the baby was born, she was breastfeeding the baby. So which is it? Are you poisoned to the point that you are full of heavy metals, or are you okay and therefore you're going to breastfeed your baby? There's always been holes in the story.
A judge agrees, siding with Doug and his toxicology expert who challenged Ashley's test results. Her request to keep Doug away from her and their child is denied.
There is not a single scintilla of credible evidence that Miss Benefield has ever been poisoned.
A judge didn't believe you.
Yeah. I started to just feel like maybe I was crazy. Maybe it was all in my head.
So now Doug Benefield has moved into an apartment in Florida as the couple attempts to co-parent Emerson.
But things started to deteriorate. He was becoming very possessive and controlling again.
Doug has a tracking device put on Ashley's car, even hires a private investigator. His attorney says it wasn't unreasonable given Ashley's past allegations.
He never tried to hide the fact that he had put the tracker on the car. I think he wanted just to kind of figure out what's going on. Am I being lied to?
And then new concerns from Ashley.
She started coming home hurt. One day came back with her face very badly injured.
And what were you told?
He said that she was playing with bubbles and that she slipped and fell.
It was consistent with what happened. She fell on her face with a pacifier. Ashley, however, made another abuse allegation.
The sheriff's office and Child Protective Services investigate the claims and conclude that there are no indicators of injury or abuse.
None of these cases led to charges. The child protection team closed them without any findings, and then the sheriff's office closed them as unfounded.
Then, amidst all this tension, the Benefields make a decision that will confound everybody who knows them.
He had gotten a job in Maryland, and so we started talking about all moving.
Moving as a family to Maryland.
Not as a family, but moving, like together at the same time.
I was just stunned. I mean, and once again, Doug, what are you doing? She tried to ruin your life.
All along, Doug would tell everyone who knew him, I believe I can make this work.
How do you rationalize patching things up with a man who you think has been abusing your daughter?
He was her father. I wanted things to be as good as they could be.
But you know now that this sounds pretty dysfunctional.
Yeah. There didn't seem to be a good option.
So you're packing up. You're going to make this move. Doug comes over. Did you two begin arguing?
He was constantly going back to this idea that we had to live together, telling me that wasn't how God intended it. He just flipped out, and it just kept escalating.
Escalating, she says, to the point of no return.
When you take a good man and a woman who's manipulative at her professional level, he's not ever going to play chess with her and win.
That bedroom was empty, other than 2 handguns.
We found that suspicious.
I was extremely concerned about Ashley's safety. Ashley was about to knock down that house of cards.
I don't think he could have ever guessed what was going to happen to him.
And what happened?
I had my gun. I told him to stop. Sorry.
What led you to go for the gun?
I've never been so scared in my life.
The information that I had was that it was a domestic-related shooting. The husband was dead. The wife did the shooting, and she claimed self-defense.
Benefield's life is taking center stage at what's been dubbed the Black Swan murder trial.
Good morning, Miss Benefield.
There was always this little thought in the back of my head that said Ashley's going to do something to him.
She just said, my dad's dead, isn't he? And then she said she killed him. She killed him, didn't she?
Why would you have a loaded gun in the house and you've got a child?
There was a ticking clock. She was very, very afraid that Doug was going to take this child away from her.
This is all part of Ashley's crazy campaign to just annihilate Doug in every single way.
And starts moving his arms around. Well, show me. What was he doing?
We stand with Ashley! We stand with Ashley!
Even her own little daughter marching for her mom.
We stand with Ashley!
He told you he had killed his wife?
And he said that he could make me disappear too.
In the ballet world, it's known as the pas de deux, a duet, a step of two. For Ashley and Doug Benefield, a former ballerina and a businessman, their dance begins with a 13-day whirlwind courtship, plans to build a ballet company, and later, a baby. But the love affair turns dark and disturbing. Court battles, disputed allegations of poisoning, abuse. And in the finale, Doug and Ashley, seemingly about to reconcile and start anew, reach a sudden and tragic end. What happened in the moments before the gunshots rang out in this Florida community in September of 2020 will be scrutinized for years by investigators, by lawyers, and the media. Ashley Benefield has kept quiet about what she says happened that night until she sat down with me. How are you doing?
It depends on the moment. Just a lot of emotion, kind of like a roller coaster.
That roller coaster, Ashley says, took a sharp turn in the fall of 2020, when after 4 years of ups and downs, she and her husband, Doug, were preparing to move to Maryland. The plan, according to Ashley, was to continue living separately, just as they had in Florida.
He was constantly going back to this idea that we had to live together.
In these text messages from September 27th, the Benefields exchanged jokes, even emojis. Doug arrives at 5:30 with a U-Haul at the gated community where Ashley lives with her mom. Ashley's mom and daughter Emerson are out of the house at a nearby park. Ashley claims it isn't long before things go from friendly to fiery. Sounds like you guys are just agreeing to pack. And did you two begin arguing verbally? Was there yelling?
There was a back and forth.
She goes on to say that Doug becomes physically aggressive too, at one point bumping into her with a moving box and scraping her side. She then says she tries to diffuse the tension and asks him to leave.
He ended up trapping me, and I tried to leave. He hit me.
Where did he hit you? Did he threaten you?
He said I couldn't leave. I almost made it to the front door and he stopped me. I ran to my bedroom and he followed me there. Told him to stop. Sorry.
What led you to go for the gun?
He had never hit me before. I thought he would stop if he saw it.
What did you think was about to happen?
I thought he was actually going to kill me this time.
Did he have a gun?
Not that I could see. He told me I was done. And even though I was the one holding the gun, he plunged at me. I'm sorry.
You fired 4 times. You missed him twice. And when you hit him, what did you think?
I ran.
Ashley says she races out of her house over to a neighbor's home. Two residents who were out walking their dog who heard the shots described seeing a woman frantically running from the home.
Maine County 911, what is the emergency?
Okay, it's right next door to me. She just came over. Her strange husband attacked her, and she says she shot him.
Okay, what's his name?
His name is Doug Benefield.
They said that Doug attacked me and I shot him. It was all a blur.
Did you think you had killed him?
I didn't know if he was behind me or chasing me or what. I didn't know.
I don't know. She came in. She was quite hysterical. I didn't know who was banging on my door. Said that he attacked her, and she shot him.
And at the end of that call, even though the neighbor had never seen Doug or Ashley fight, he tells the dispatcher something alarming.
Just between you and me, the son of a bitch has been harassing him and threatening him for a long time.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't say that.
When law enforcement first arrived at the house following the 911 call and they make it in the house, they find Doug.
He had a gunshot wound to his calf through and through. He had a gunshot wound to his right side chest area that landed in his back across on the left-hand side. Paramedics arrived, they continued CPR and took him to the hospital, but he was pronounced deceased at the hospital.
This is the man that you had loved, the father of your child. What did you make of it when you heard that he was dead?
I was horrified. It's like the worst nightmare.
A nightmare Ashley won't wake up from anytime soon.
That bedroom was essentially empty, other than 2 handguns.
One of them was in a backpack, hanging in the closet. One of them was just in a bin on top of a hamper. And we found that suspicious.
I think that definitely gave the detectives pause.
There was always this little thought in the back of my head that said Ashley's gonna do something to him. Ashley's gonna sabotage him somehow. There's a look in her eyes where she just looks like she finally got her way.
I remember thinking to myself, there's something wrong here.
Every morning, Doug reached out to Eva no matter where he was in the world.
He would either text me a good morning or he would send me a Bible verse. So I expected that.
And that morning, he didn't send it.
Or I texted him like 10 times. And then I said, Dad, this is scaring me.
Monday morning, I was in the office and I saw an email that Ashley's attorney sent said, we need to cancel Wednesday's hearing. Doug is dead. I had to call Doug's family. It was just heart-wrenching. Poor girl, she knew. She just said, my dad's dead, isn't he? And then she said, she killed him. She killed him, didn't she?
And I sat my phone down and I said, I don't have parents anymore. I was just shaking violently for like 6 hours.
Doug Benefield's family and friends are grappling with unthinkably tragic news. And meantime, investigators are trying to make sense of what happened the night before.
The information that I had was that it was a domestic-related shooting. The husband was dead, the wife did the shooting, and she claimed self-defense.
Ashley is taken to the sheriff's office, where attorneys from her family court case are waiting. You didn't give a statement. Why not?
My attorney is yelling to me in the parking lot. You know, don't say anything, don't say anything. I guess I was just following advice.
Ashley does consent to photos that she says document the swelling on her face where she says Doug hit her.
When I saw her that night after she left the police station, the left side of her face was swollen. She had obviously been struck. The next morning when she was changing a shirt, I saw the cut on her stomach.
But law enforcement contends that Ashley's injuries don't suggest a life or death struggle.
There was no swelling, there was no bruising, there was no difference in the way she looked. The entirety of the injuries that they found that were relevant was a scratch on her side, and that was it. They got pictures of every angle, of every place that the attorneys wanted them to take, and there were no injuries except for that scratch.
And investigators are also skeptical of Ashley's claims of being attacked because Doug was unarmed. She had access to 2 weapons. You said that you were a responsible gun owner, but why would you have a loaded gun in the house and you've got a child?
Well, the purpose of having a gun is for like a self-defense. The idea is that if something were to happen crazy in the middle of the night, that it would be accessible.
But then you've got a loaded gun that's basically sort of out in a bin. There are those who say that sounds really suspicious.
I mean, I feel like anything can be turned to try to make it look a certain way.
We found that suspicious, that someone would have 2 guns readily accessible in an empty room when everything else is in a U-Haul truck.
According to the medical examiner's report, the fatal gunshot entered the right side of Doug Benefield's chest. To investigators, that doesn't fit with somebody who's lunging toward her.
If someone were coming at you or attacking you, the entrance wound to the fatal shot would not be in the side.
And results from the forensic lab raise even more questions about Ashley's claim of self-defense.
And there was no stippling on Doug's shirt, so that told us that the barrel of the gun was at least 3 to 7 feet away, and that's the barrel of the gun, not even her body. So they were not in a combat life or death situation where they were locked together.
Just over a month after Doug Benefield is shot and killed, Ashley is charged with second-degree murder. She pleads not guilty.
The Manatee County woman charged with shooting and killing her husband.
Suspect for second-degree murder and the...
You're arrested. Charged with Doug's murder. What did you think?
I was shocked. I was blindsided by it.
In the minds of investigators, Doug Benefield's demise wasn't about self-defense. To them, it was Ashley's plan all along.
The whole lie, the whole deception is coming to an end.
Doug was going to find out your wife is lying to you.
There was a ticking clock. She was very, very afraid that Doug was going to take this child away from her. Very afraid.
But others insist the real victim here is Ashley.
Doug Benefield was anything but what he portrayed himself to be.
This is someone who was a predator, and this is someone who was not going to be stopped.
He told me that he killed Renee.
He told you he had killed his wife?
And he said that he could make me disappear too.
I always try to go and sit and watch the sunset when I can. There's so many good memories there. We chose to spread my dad's ashes on station 22.5, and that is the same station that my parents met.
We held a celebration. We raised a toast to a life well lived and a terrible ending to a life.
A life Doug's family insists was cut short by a woman they say was driven to destroy him.
No one at that memorial service in any way believed the story of Doug attacking Ashley, her shooting him out of fear. Doug still loved Ashley in spite of what she did to him, in spite of all the accusations, all the allegations.
I said, why do you keep going back? And he said, you know, I just want to show her that, like, I'm a good man and men can be good. And then he wanted Emerson to have a happy family.
He was willing to do whatever he had to do to be a part of Emerson's life.
And while it appears to some that the couple were trying for yet another fresh start, their family court case in Florida was still open. Both Ashley and Doug had been evaluated by a psychologist, and that report was completed just before the planned move to Maryland. Prosecutors insist the report about Ashley is crucial, that once released, Doug was going to learn that she had no intention of reconciling.
Ashley was afraid that Doug was going to take custody away from her. This is a judge that did not believe her theatrics, and if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be this judge.
And prosecutors believe the move to Maryland offers Ashley another chance and another court to keep Doug away from her and their child.
I believed that she was going to start everything again in Maryland and hope for a different result.
Were you thinking at all, you've got another state you can try to fight him for custody?
My hope was that if something was going wrong, that maybe in a fresh place, they would take it more seriously.
Ashley's mindset leading up to the shooting, prosecutors say, is critical. Was this a woman who truly feared for her life?
Text messages between Doug and Ashley leading up to that day, in the days ahead, and then the day of the homicide were very normal.
To say that someone couldn't have been defending themselves later in a day because of nice text messages that morning is absurd. Doug was always like a flip of a switch.
He could turn on a dime. He could be very happy. He could be charming. But then, for no reason at all, he could get very upset. We kept on asking for help. It's been years of absolute hell. And we went from one abuser to a system that is abusing a victim.
Were you an abused woman?
Yeah, I didn't think so at first. I remember like trying to argue, no, like it's not like that. You know, I don't have broken bones and black eyes.
Most incidents of domestic violence are subtle, where the offender uses isolation, financial control, threatening, verbal abuse, things that the general public doesn't necessarily see. But these are also things that the victim doesn't always know is abuse.
There was no evidence to indicate that she was truly a victim of abuse in the months leading up to the homicide when they were not even living together.
In the months before the shooting, Ashley reaches out to a domestic violence agency and eventually connects with a therapist, Dr. Barbara Russell, who becomes a trusted friend and advocate.
This relationship was very controlling. He was incessantly sending her text messages saying that all of the men that are probably flirting with her need to be exterminated like rats. And then he would shift gears and talk to her very lovingly and sweetly. Like most domestic violence situations, it escalated. He would push her, he would lock her in bathrooms.
During one of those alleged incidents early in their relationship, Ashley claims Doug admitted something about his late wife that terrified her.
He had always told me that they had this fairy tale marriage, that they never fought. And then I found messages.
Text messages, she says, reveal a side of Doug that Ashley claims she saw in her own marriage.
She said one time he kicked her really hard. He had secretly videotaped them starting on their honeymoon. One time we were having an argument and he told me that he killed Renee.
He told you he had killed his wife?
And he said that he could make me disappear too.
an investigation was done. There was no finding of foul play in any way. There was a full autopsy.
The coroner in Renee's death investigation ruled that she died of natural causes due to a heart condition.
Ashley tried to convince me that my dad killed my mom. I said, Dad, this is what she's doing. She was just kind of like, we're going to therapy where, you know, things will be okay. Obviously, like, I didn't kill your mom.
This was all part of Ashley's crazy campaign. Ashley wanted to keep Doug away from that kid at the expense of everything and everyone else. She would not stop.
Her goal was never to get rid of Doug. Her goal was to keep her daughter safe. That's very different than wanting to kill somebody.
Two starkly different portraits of Ashley Benefield. Is she a murderer?
Benefield taking center stage at what has been dubbed the Black Swan murder trial.
Or a victim who stood her ground?
He told her she was finished.
He's coming at you and you have nowhere to go. What do? You shoot to protect yourself.
A legal strategy that could keep Ashley free.
This is the one chance at this point that we have to end it all now.
We stand with Ashley, mother, daughter, sister, friend.
Here, how about I push you this way? You ready? Yeah.
So what's summer been like for you two?
Emerson does a lot of swimming, right?
Yeah, I can swim a lot, pretty much.
So you're getting to be a strong swimmer.
Great job.
Ashley Benefield has spent several years under house arrest, living with her mom and daughter Emerson, who's now 5, while awaiting trial for second-degree murder.
Here we are, climbing trees, catching geckos.
This has been hanging, you know, in the balance really for years now. And in the same time, you know, you're trying to mother.
It definitely wouldn't be what I would pick, but I'm thankful for all the good things that we have. She's an amazing little girl. I love being her mommy.
Meanwhile, the other daughter, caught in the middle, 22-year-old Eva Benefield, found her own way to process her pain.
When I was 15, my mom died of an underlying heart condition.
I had been on TikTok for like a few months, and I thought, oh, that'd be funny if I made a joke about my dad being murdered. I made a TikTok, and I put my phone down, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and it was at 700,000 likes. And then it just kept going and going and going. It got like 3 million likes and like 10 million views. And within 2 weeks, I had 100,000 followers.
Eva has gone from grieving and stuck in trauma to getting help to finding an outlet in her art.
Eva, Doug's daughter, does not support you. Do you want to say anything to her?
My heart's broken for her. She has been through so much. I wouldn't even know where to start.
In February 2023, Ashley's legal team files a motion to dismiss under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. The law allows the use of deadly force if a person believes that that force is necessary to prevent imminent death or to prevent a violent crime without any expectation to retreat.
Doug stopped her from fleeing her home. Well, that would be false imprisonment, and that would qualify as a violent felony, which would give her the right to use deadly force.
Ashley's defense filed a 105-page motion presenting her version of the night she shot Doug. For his family, it was the first time hearing her side.
The story they've made up is as implausible as everything else she ever made up about Doug and their relationship. It's implausible that any of that occurred the way she and her lawyer have told it.
The court found enough merit in Ashley's motion to grant her a hearing. Now the burden of proof shifts to the state to prove that Ashley did not act in self-defense.
The prosecution has to basically put on a trial, but it's just a hearing in front of a judge.
Well, with this hearing, we have the opportunity to put a stop to the proceedings. Then I get my life back.
Doug's family travels to Florida to attend the hearing.
It feels a little weird just because the last time I was here was when my dad was alive.
All right, good morning, everyone. We are on the record in the state of Florida versus Ashley Benefield.
The state calls 8 witnesses, including Doug's family members and law enforcement, who testify that Ashley had no significant injuries to justify self-defense.
Did you have a crime scene technician take photographs of her?
We did.
And why did you want pictures?
I didn't notice any kind of injuries, things that you would typically see during a physical altercation.
For their part, the defense relied solely on the details laid out in the 105-page motion filed before the hearing, calling no witnesses.
There was no independent evidence that refuted her version of events. I believe this motion compels the court to grant it. Thank you for the court's patience.
Judge didn't rule from the bench. They typically do not. After the hearing ended, we just had to wait for a written order.
It would take 2 months, but ultimately the judge would deny Ashley Benefield's stand your ground motion, saying the state had shown the shooting was not in self-defense. Now, out of options, Benefield will have to face a jury of her peers in this courthouse.
And happening right now, potential jurors being questioned in what people are calling the Black Swan trial.
The Black Swan trial.
Black Swan murder trial.
The Black Swan has a catchy ring, and it sensationalizes my life. And it's sad to me that people who don't even know me have this idea of a monster.
But not everybody sees her that way.
We stand with Ashley.
We stand with Ashley.
Dozens of protesters here at the Manatee County Courthouse marching in defense of Ashley Benefield.
And the littlest supporter marching out there also happens to be one of Ashley's biggest defenders.
She kept on asking, Mommy, can I go? Can I go? I want to be part of this. I want to stand up for my mommy. I don't want to be without my mommy. And
With Ashley Benefield now facing the possibility of life in prison, the big question is, will the jury believe her?
The entire dynamic of the trial shifting today as Ashley Benefield made her way to the stand.
The stakes for Ashley were extremely high.
I was hoping that they would call Ashley.
There's nowhere to go. I was trapped.
I really just wanted them to see Ashley for Ashley.
I thought he was going to kill me.
Testimony in the so-called Black Swan murder trial happening in Manatee County.
Supporters rallying behind Ashley Benefield. Benefield is the Manatee County woman charged with shooting and killing her husband, Doug Benefield.
After nearly 4 years, Ashley Benefield finally gets her day in court, where she's hoping to prove that she shot her husband, Doug, in self-defense.
This was a custody battle that this mother was going to win at all costs. And the cost was the life of Doug Benefield. And that is murder.
All right, state, call your first witness.
The prosecution gets to work building its case.
State calls Stephanie Murphy.
Calling Doug Benefield's family attorney to the stand.
At the time the child was born, did you or Doug know that the child was born?
No, gosh, we didn't know for a good 5 or 6 weeks after she was born.
All right, who's your next witness?
Detective Chris Gillum.
All right.
The state also calls the detective who spoke with Ashley back in 2018 when he investigated her claims that Doug had abused their daughter.
She asked for me to arrest Doug when he came inside the courtroom in front of the presiding judge.
And what was your reaction to that?
That absolutely would not occur.
And how did she take that?
She was upset.
I think it was very important testimony. It was a snapshot into the real Ashley Benefield.
Her tone turned very aggressive, and she says, "You will arrest him in front of the judge, and I will make sure you do it." And she says, "I'll do whatever I have to do to keep my baby, you a-hole."
Ashley's side insists she was only trying to protect her child from a man she was terrified of.
Defense would call Dr. Jason Quintel.
They call a mental health counselor who saw both Doug and Ashley.
Did you conclude whether there was an intimidation issue present?
Ashley stated that she was scared of Doug.
Did you reach any conclusions with respect to Douglas Benefield?
Doug occurred as someone who was domineering, and the terminology that I would use at times would be super controlling. He would fit the stereotype of an alpha male, in my opinion.
The defense also turns to a domestic violence expert to explain why, even though Ashley claimed she was living in fear, it may not have always looked that way from the outside.
How common is it, Mr. Ferris, for a victim of domestic violence to smile and act happy in the company of the abuser?
Very much so, because they're afraid. They found this least resistance. They're trying to not poke the bear, as we'll say.
Doug didn't verbally abuse her, never physically touched her. He would be angry over how she tried to ruin his life, but the anger never came out in inappropriate ways.
Then the defense calls the one person they believe can convince the jury of Ashley's innocence.
The defense calls Ashley Benefield. How are you feeling this morning, Ashley?
Nervous.
The questioning quickly turning to the night of the shooting.
I ran to try to leave the house. He hit me on the side of the head. He had never actually hit me before.
What did you do?
I ran. Doug was standing in the doorway. His face was red. Like the veins were bulging in his neck. The way he was looking at me, it didn't even look like Doug. His eyes were black. I just held the gun like in front of me, and I said, "Stop." And he like turned and he got into this like a fighting stance. I thought he was gonna kill me.
Somehow, Ashley Benefield found the strength to testify on her own behalf. And I thought she did it extremely well. Judge, I wonder, could we have a minute?
Ashley used a lot of theatrics, a lot of, in my opinion, acting. Looking her in the face, it did not seem genuine to me.
Ma'am, there's Kleenexes here next to you. Those.
Okay, thank you.
Even though she cried hysterically numerous times, there was not one tear.
In her cross-examination, prosecutor Suzanne O'Donnell presses Ashley about that moment she says Doug hit her in the head.
You say he slapped you?
I wouldn't know how to classify it. He struck me, he hit me.
Was his hand open or closed?
I don't remember.
Okay. In direct examination, she knew the color of his eyes and the way he was acting. And when I asked her, did he hit you with an open hand or a closed hand, she didn't know. Wouldn't you know if someone hit you with a fist versus an open hand? Judge, if I could have her step down so she can demonstrate.
You may.
I absolutely wanted to get her down off of the stand because she would have been that much closer to the jury. Okay, so he's standing there. He turns to like this and starts moving his arms around.
Like that.
Well, show me. What was he doing?
Kind of like, I don't know, he got like this, and he was like making like fighting motions. I don't know, I'm not a fighter, I don't know.
Okay. This was the time to show the jury exactly what this person was doing. Why were you so scared? And she just couldn't do it. And I believe that that was because it didn't really happen.
And O'Donnell zeroes in on the physical evidence, arguing that it contradicts Ashley's claims of self-defense.
So I want to talk a little bit about this trajectory. The fatal bullet went in the side of the chest and almost came out the other side of the back. Her story was he starts to lunge at her. If she then lifted the gun and shot, it would go in his chest and right out his back. It would not go side to side.
Everybody unanimously agreed that the wound path of that projectile was from front to back, left to right. Well, I don't care how much you would like to move front to back to the side, it is still front to back.
Ashley's action on that day was absolutely justified. She had the right to stand her ground and use force, including deadly force. For the last several years, I've walked hand in hand with Ashley. I'm now going to surrender her fate to you.
So all of you may now retire to consider your verdict.
Any minute now, Ashley Benefield could learn her fate.
I've played out, I guess, both scenarios in my mind.
6 hours into the deliberations, tensions begin building in the jury room.
And then at approximately 10 o'clock, the jurors sent out a note.
When they came back, I feel a sinking feeling. We were heavy-hearted at that moment.
Are you envisioning what it might be like to hear guilty?
Yeah, I've played out, I guess, both scenarios in my mind. I mean, part of this just doesn't seem real. I keep thinking maybe one day I'll wake up from the nightmare and realize that none of this happened.
Jurors still deliberating after closing arguments.
It's 10 p.m. The jury in Ashley Benefield's case has been deliberating for 6 hours. Then, a message from the foreperson.
Yeah, I've received a note from you. It says, unable to come to unanimous verdict.
Even worse than a not guilty would be a hung jury, because then the family has to go through this again. We just need some finality.
But the judge encourages the jurors to keep deliberating and try to come to a consensus.
We'll be in recess until we get another question or a verdict.
And less than an hour later...
Breaking news, we have a verdict.
When I saw that there was a verdict a half an hour later, my heart was in my throat.
We, the jury, find the defendant is guilty of manslaughter, a lesser included offense.
The jury does not find Ashley guilty of second-degree murder. Instead, they convict her of the lesser charge of manslaughter.
We were hopeful for a second-degree murder conviction, but we were very, very satisfied with a manslaughter conviction.
Ashley learns she'll be sentenced at a later date.
The sound was as good as the sight. We're very thankful that she was taken off to jail.
If she hadn't had her gun that night, I know without a shadow of a doubt my daughter would be dead. I am sure of it. Why do they not believe women? Why should women live in fear?
I feel that Ashley was abusing a system that is designed to help people that are victims. Sets everyone back and makes it so much harder for those people that really are victims.
But I'll tell you, the hardest part of that verdict was not in the courtroom. It was when we came back to our office without Ashley. Emerson was there waiting for her mom, but she wouldn't leave right around that elevator. She just stayed there.
This case has always been sad to me because there are children involved that had nothing to do with this. Emerson's without her father and probably going to be without her mother now for a long time. Doug's family got justice. Eva's still without her father.
Today kind of just feels like the first day of the rest of my life. I hope one day me and Emerson will be able to have a relationship where she can come to me with any questions, and I hope that one day I'll be able to explain how great of a father my dad would have been to her and how great he was for the short amount of time that they got to spend together.
Ashley Benefield is scheduled to be sentenced next month. David, she faces up to 30 years in prison.
And as for Doug and Ashley's 6-year-old daughter, Emerson, she's currently living with Ashley's mother now. That's our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Deborah Roberts. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
Tonight, a small town scandal when a beloved minister is killed.
And his wife and children go missing. But for how long and why? 2020 starts right now.
Why do you think the public was captivated with this story?
It was something that was so totally unexpected. Someone had broken into the home, killed Matthew with the gunshot, and then took Mary and the girls and left.
A church pastor is dead, and his family is missing at this hour.
When you add religion to murder and then sprinkle in abuse, and everyone's in shock and no one knows who to believe.
This is pretty telling. The killer unplugged the phone.
Yes.
So no one could call anyone for help.
People were frantic, thinking that there may be a killer on the loose.
The most important thing to them right now is to find Mary Winkler and find the 3 girls.
So how does that missing wife and mother go from lost to found?
Ma'am, get out of the vehicle. Get your hands out of the vehicle now. Get out.
Winding up in a police investigation.
I have nerve now, and I have self-esteem, and so my ugly came out.
I guess my ugly came out. What does that mean?
We could not have fathomed what actually did come out, not in our wildest thoughts.
This is stuff that doesn't happen to church folks.
The ugly side came out. Somebody ended up shot dead.
It became one of the biggest, most talked about stories in the entire country. And it all started here in the heart of the Bible Belt, in this small church in the tiny town of Selmer, Tennessee. Matthew Winkler would preach to his congregation every Sunday morning here about right and wrong and about living your life in the service of God.
On March 22nd, 2006, everyone was gathering at the church, ready for the Wednesday night service.
Matthew Winkler was pretty new at being the new head preacher, so he certainly didn't miss any services.
It's unheard of for the preacher, his wife, and his daughters who are there every week, and they don't show up.
But even though they kept watching the door, waiting for him to come through it with apologies and messages of love for the congregation, it never happened.
Overcome with worry and concern, some of the members of the congregation take a 5-minute drive to the church parsonage behind me. It's where the minister, Matthew, his wife, and 3 children lived. Once inside, the church members make a shocking discovery.
We were knocking on the windows, knocking on the doors. At that point is when I felt that something was wrong, because the key was on the inside of the door, the TV was on, and there was no answer.
At some point, they go inside the home, walk through, calling his name, calling Mary's name, calling for the girls.
Yelling, "Is anyone in here? Can anybody hear us?"
They looked around. No Mary, no little girls. Everything looked normal. Nothing looked out of place. But the master bedroom door was shut. They walked over and opened it, and all their nightmares were answered.
So Matthew laying there on his back, that foam was protruding from his mouth and nose. We knew pretty obviously that he was dead at that time. So we called 911, and then we all gathered in the living room and held hands and prayed for Mary and the children because we assumed that they had been abducted.
Church members couldn't fathom who would kill their preacher. This was a man who, in fact, was considered religious royalty here in Tennessee, coming from a long line of distinguished ministers.
Matthew Winkler is the son of a preacher and the grandson of a preacher and the great-grandson of a preacher.
The only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man.
It's in his blood, literally. Mary grew up in a Church of Christ family also.
Mary was raised in a strict household in Knoxville, Tennessee. At South Doyle High School, she was known as a reserved student with a good sense of humor. She didn't draw a lot of attention to herself. That's also true of many women in the Churches of Christ Church. They don't want to bring a lot of attention on themselves.
Mary was cute as a button. She was always ready with a smile and a touch on the hand. And she just was the perfect embodiment of a Church of Christ woman.
Mary and Matthew met at Freed-Hardeman College. It's a college affiliated with the Church of Christ. And Mary has said that initially they were just friends, but then they started dating, and apparently Matthew must have liked her because 3 months later he asked her to marry him.
Both Matthew and Mary dropped out of school because they couldn't afford it anymore. And then Matthew got work as a youth minister in McMinnville, Tennessee. How would you describe the Church of Christ to someone who's not familiar with it?
It's very conservative, a Bible-based church. We say we have no creed but the Bible.
They believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible. And there are scriptures in the Bible that says that a woman is subservient to the man. Board of elders, the preacher, all of those in the leadership positions are men.
Tell me about Matthew's temperament.
Gregarious, somebody who could go into a room of strangers and make friends within minutes.
Magnetic personality.
Magnetic personality.
Your impression of Mary?
Mary seemed like a frail and vulnerable woman. She had a downcast look. She would not make eye contact. And she was walking 3 or 4 steps behind Matthew.
Matthew had this feeling he couldn't measure up to his father. He bristled under just being a youth minister. He wanted to be the preacher of his own church.
It was in January of 2005 that Matthew and Mary Winkler moved here to the town of Selmer. Matthew had just landed his dream job, named the head pastor here at the Church of Christ.
Selmer is a sleepy little town in Tennessee, right by the border with Mississippi. It is a place where people sit out on their porch drinking sweet tea and talking with their neighbors as they walk by. It's very Southern in so many ways.
One of Elvis Presley's first outside of Memphis performances was here in this county. The highway going through Selmer to Elvis's home is called Rockabilly Highway.
What does this town like?
Small town.
Yeah.
Close unit family.
Pretty religious? I see a lot of churches here.
Yes. Almost every corner you'll find a church.
True happiness is found in God's Word. True happiness is not only found in God's Word, it's found by living the way God says to live in that Word.
The Winklers found a wonderful church in Selmer, Tennessee, and the people of the community and congregation embraced them and welcomed them. It seemed like the perfect scenario. That is, until March 22nd of 2006, when that beloved young minister was found dead on the floor of his bedroom.
Was it a kidnapping and it just went wrong?
Someone definitely intended to kill Matthew Winkler.
In a small town, people were frantic, thinking there was a killer on the loose.
And where were Mary and the girls?
Had someone unknown come into the home, killed Matthew, and gone off in the family van with the 3 girls and Mary, holding them captive.
On March 21st, 2006, in the small town of Selmer, Tennessee, Matthew and Mary Winkler, along with their 3 little girls, settle in for a quiet evening at home. They order pizza and watch the animated movie Chicken Little.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
But somehow, this everyday peaceful family activity would turn into a gruesome crime scene with seemingly deadly intention.
Matthew Winkler was shot in the back with a 12-gauge shotgun. 12-gauge shotgun is either used to hunt or personal protection, and it's used to kill. My initial thought was someone definitely intended to kill Matthew Winkler.
Members of the 4th Street Church of Christ find their beloved minister, Matthew Winkler, dead in his home, just minutes away from the sanctuary. They immediately call the police.
Where were you when you got the phone call?
I was at home, of course, in bed, or getting ready to go to bed. Then I immediately started reaching out to the agents and the crime scene team to get them to start responding to this location.
When the police came into the house, they cleared all the church members out, but they interviewed them as well and started picking apart the scene, looking for anything that could give them information.
They would have started with the interior, taking photographs, taking measurements.
Nothing was out of place. It wasn't ransacked, looking for valuables. But what would stand out is when you got to the back bedroom.
There were blood stains on the pillows. There were blood stains on the floor.
Matthew was laying beside the bed, and that's where he was found.
But you think he was shot while he was still in bed?
Yes, and he would have rolled over.
Investigators were thinking of a lot of things that this scenario suggested.
You have someone fatally wounded. No one else is around. Is this some type of robbery that had turned into murder?
Was this a vendetta or was it a kidnapping and it just went wrong?
At that point, you don't know?
You don't know. I mean, it's a mystery.
What do we have here?
This is actually the bed.
This is the bed.
That would have been where he was sleeping.
Could have been shot from here or from here.
Well, probably from this side.
Right.
He was shot on the bed, so that tells you that the shooter had no confrontation with him. There was no defense that Matthew could have put up, being that he was shot in the back.
And this is the shotgun shell.
It's actually the round that killed him.
Over here, this is the bird shot.
That's some of the bird shot
recovered from his body.
Correct.
This is the actual shotgun.
Yes, sir.
Can you show it to us?
That's 12 gauge pump.
What kind of damage can it do? Close up.
Well, lots of damage.
A 12-gauge shotgun shooting birdshot. When it makes impact, it's going to explode with all of these pellets. And Matthew had somewhere over 70 pellets in his back.
And for investigators, each crime scene tells its own story. And this one would reveal a chilling detail. It seemed that the perpetrator wanted to seal Matthew's fate with absolute certainty.
They were very disturbed when they noticed the telephone clearly placed in a position that was out of Matthew's reach. And it was disconnected from the wall jack.
So the killer unplugged the phone?
Yes.
So no one could call anywhere for help?
That's what we believe. Even if he was able to survive or even live long enough to reach up and grab the receiver and hit 0, it wasn't going to work.
There is breaking news that we've been following all day out of Selmer, Tennessee. It is a case of tragedy in a small town. A church pastor is dead.
While investigators were combing through the crime scene, news of the death of the much-beloved preacher Matthew Winkler shook Selmer to its core.
And, it's just shock. Everybody's just in shock about it.
This is the 4th Street Church of Christ here in Selmer, and all day long, church members have been coming and going. You can see it in their faces how distraught they are about the death of Pastor Matthew Winkler.
Who would have done something like this? Everybody loved him from what we understood.
People were frantic, thinking that there may be a killer somewhere in their community.
And do police have a motive they're working on? Any kind of theory here?
Now, they are telling us very, very little about this.
Matthew was often approached by people who had addiction problems or financial problems. What if Matthew turned one of those people away? What if they have come back in anger?
An Amber Alert is issued for 3 little girls.
Police need to find Mary Winkler, 1-year-old Brianna, 6-year-old Mary Alice, and 8-year-old Patricia.
They, along with their gray minivan, were missing. Were they in danger?
An Amber Alert is issued for 3 little girls. They disappeared from their home in Selmer, Tennessee. Their mother is missing as well. Church members found their father, Pastor Matthew Winkler, dead.
With the young minister found dead in his bedroom, the community of Selmer was on edge.
There was a possibility this could have been a burglary that turned into murder.
Who is here in our community would do that? This person's loose. People were worried.
Take a look at the van the mother and the children may be in. It is a 2006 gray Toyota Sienna.
The most important thing to them right now is to find Mary Winkler and find the 3 girls.
Almost 24 hours after the discovery of Matthew's body, there's a sighting of a gray minivan matching the description of the Winklers' missing vehicle. It was spotted in the seaside community of Orange Beach, Alabama.
That shoreline is particularly spectacular. They call it the Gold Coast of Alabama.
1025. Get ready. I was traveling westbound on the road directly behind us.
That's it. 10-4, that's the vehicle.
And this van pulled right out in front of me, a Toyota Sienna minivan, matching the description of the van we'd been looking for.
10-4, we're pulling in the parking lot, 1033.
Knowing that there was a possibility that Mary and her girls had been kidnapped, they were extremely cautious approaching that vehicle. They had their guns out.
Ma'am, get out of the vehicle. Get your hands out of the vehicle now. Get out. Step out of the vehicle. Put the vehicle in park and step out.
There she was, Mary Winkler, in a pink jumpsuit, looking as innocent as anybody walking down the street could look.
With no supposed kidnapper behind the wheel.
Walk back. Walk back. Keep walking.
Mary Winkler goes from being a potential victim to a suspect in her husband's death.
She got out and she never asked why she was stopped, why there was officers pointing guns at her or anything. She made no really expression on her face, and she was detained.
Hey girl, how you doing?
After we detained her, we ran to the minivan to check the welfare of the children. They just kept repeating, what's going on, where's mommy going?
Did my mommy do anything?
Shortly after Mary's arrest, police search the minivan and they make a stunning discovery.
It was soon after Mary was apprehended by the Orange Beach Police Department. A shotgun was found in the minivan.
You've heard the term, we found the smoking gun. Well, that's exactly what we thought. We had found the smoking gun, and it was just our job now to put the facts and the details together.
Back in 2006, Stan Stabler was a corporal with the Alabama Bureau of Investigation.
I received a call from Orange Beach Police Department that evening. They requested that I come to interview Mary Winkler.
It's March 23, it's about 9:55 p.m. We're at Orange Beach PD. I'm Stan Stabler with ABI. If you would just speak your name for me, please, ma'am.
Mary Winkler.
When we first started, I got a lot of background information about her, their marriage.
How long have you been married?
9 years, 11 months.
How was your marriage?
Good.
We talked about the children.
I met your daughters, and very sweet girls. Had McDonald's, they eat, they're wrapped up in blankets, warm, watching a movie.
Thank you.
I wanted to build a rapport with Mary where she felt comfortable with me.
Want something to drink?
Water's fantastic.
Okay.
Sitting across from him is this eerily calm mother of three, 400 miles away from home. Stan Stabler wondered why did Mary Winkler drive her girls all the way to Orange Beach, Alabama?
They've never been to a beach that they remember. This is just my last time to be with them. I just want to be with them before they had bad days. To have a happy day.
She wanted to spend some time with the girls because she felt that she would not be seeing them after she was caught.
I asked her about anyone else involved, an affair.
Y'all didn't have any major problems going on?
No.
Anybody else involved with either party?
Oh, no.
She was not as emotional as a person should be if they learned about the murder of their spouse.
Just go step from step and tell me what happened.
I just can't.
Why can't you talk to us? Is it me?
No.
She was very strong-willed not to disclose a lot of details.
I want to hear your side.
I appreciate it. I feel like you have genuine concern, and I do appreciate you.
Tell me why a mother of three, a wife of over 9 years, almost 10 years, what would make you do this? Why?
No comment.
It was a very, very strange interview.
Has he ever hurt you?
Not physically.
She said she did not want to talk about Matthew because she didn't, quote, want to smear him.
No matter what, in the end, I don't want him smeared.
All we are seeking the truth. And we're not here to smear anybody.
Corporal Stabler asks Mary about that shotgun that police suspect she used to kill her husband.
Did you load it?
I messed it up and then put it back.
Where was it?
We keep it in the top of the closet out of reach.
The truth started coming out. Mary admitted she was holding that gun. She didn't admit that she pulled the trigger. Said she didn't remember that.
How many times did you shoot? Just one time?
Surely not.
Huh?
Surely not.
How do you know you didn't shoot more than once?
I don't.
And then finally, after almost 2 hours of questioning, a possible motive.
I love you dearly. But gosh, he could just nail me in the ground. I have nerve now, and I have self-esteem. And so my ugly came out.
When the ugly side came out, somebody ended up shot dead.
For almost 2 hours, Corporal Stan Stabler prods Mary Winkler about her relationship with her late husband, Matthew.
Mary Winkler eventually, during that interview in Alabama, did tell investigators that he picked on her. What she was describing as someone who was abusive.
How would he run you down? Bad mouth?
Chewing on you, yeah.
Just fussing at you,
Just
nagging all the
mistakes.
time?
And some well-deserved by all means.
I think it's old.
But gosh, I don't want to talk about that now. I love you dearly. But gosh, he could just nail me in the ground. I just took it like a mouse. Didn't think anything different. I never spoke up.
She told me he was a good man. He was a good father. He was a good husband. She said, you know, at times he would get mad. She related it to blood pressure problems.
But he was so good. So good, too. A lot of times he had high blood pressure, but he'd never go enough to the doctor to get medicine for it. There's no sense, you know, just say the lady was a moron, evil woman.
She said she had had thoughts in the past about killing him.
Yeah, I didn't just get up and say, hey, let's see how this thing works. I've been battling it not to do that for him, and I don't know why.
Was he chewing on you when it happened?
I don't even know.
Mary had said that she got a job. Then she said her self-esteem started coming out. And then she started speaking up about things she didn't like.
I have nerve now, and I have self-esteem. And so my ugly came out.
When the ugly side came out, somebody ended up shot dead. So that's what Mary's ugly side is. The side that shoots her husband in the back with a shotgun.
Mary waived her right to an extradition hearing and willingly went back to face justice in Tennessee.
While in Tennessee, investigators from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation take another statement from Mary, which she initials.
And this time, Mary drops a few bombshells about the morning Matthew was killed. While she never admits to pulling the trigger of the shotgun, Mary does tell TBI agents she heard a loud boom, wiped blood from Matthew's mouth, and told him she was sorry.
It became real obvious that there was only one thing for the police in Tennessee to do, and that was to charge her with murder.
The startling account of a pastor's wife accused of killing her husband becomes big national news.
This is Good Morning America.
That murder mystery that has stunned everyone. A popular minister in Tennessee gunned down in his home, and the confessed killer is his young wife. Why?
People were like, what? The preacher's wife? That's who killed him?
Once a minister's wife, now accused of murder. As Mary sat in jail, hundreds packed in the 4th Street Church of Christ to mourn the loss of Matthew.
We want to first of all thank all of you for the love and care you've shown for the Winkler family.
As for the Winkler's 3 daughters, they're in the care of Matthew's parents.
The girls are going to need a lot of care and attention. And now we turn 100% of our attention to them.
As the news of Mary Winkler's arrest spread like wildfire through this tight-knit community of Selmer, there were rumblings that her husband Matthew may have had a darker side. There had to be a good reason, some speculated, for Mary to pick up that shotgun and then shoot her husband in the back.
People were wondering what would cause them to have their ugly come out.
Knowing Mary the way I did, I knew that he had to do something to push her over.
Mary's sisters say they saw a change in Mary once she got married.
I don't remember hearing her laugh. She was not a happy person.
Mary's other sister, Amanda, and her father, Clark, say they saw bruises on Mary.
I didn't say anything because if I was to say, who gave that to you, and that would make her mad, I wouldn't see her again.
I saw terrible bruises, the heaviest of makeup covering facial bruises. So one day I confronted her and I said, Mary Carol, you are coming off as a very abused wife. And Mary Carol would hang her head and say, no, Dad, everything's all right, everything's all right. And several times I talked very seriously to her about leaving him, and she just did not want to. I feel so bad about this. I feel like I have a part in it. I should have talked more to Mary Carol.
There were people who said that they did see a short temper in Matthew. According to the neighbor, that their dog had gotten into the Winkler yard, and Matthew yelled at the neighbor.
He said, keep that damn dog out of our yard or we'll shoot him. He had a temper on him. I've never met a preacher like him.
This never rose where it was ever a volatile encounter with somebody. It was just being stern, like the dog. Hey, please do this. I've warned you.
As investigators dig deep into the Winklers' lives, they come to believe that Matthew's killing may actually have been about money.
That's what was the root of the evil in this whole situation.
According to them, Mary was knee-deep in financial fraud, and investigators suspect that weighing heavily on her mind was an upcoming trip to the local bank.
The bankers set a meeting for Mary and Matthew to meet at the bank on March 22nd.
I think she was desperate and afraid.
Mrs. Winkler is set for arraignment before a McNairy County judge.
After Matthew's death, Mary appeared in a Selmer courtroom, trading in her Sunday best for an orange jumpsuit.
It was somewhat of a shocking vision because she just does not look like anyone who could do anything like shoot her husband.
State of Tennessee versus Mary Carol Winkler. You're charged under Tennessee Code with first-degree murder.
After pleading not guilty to first-degree murder, Mary is led away in shackles.
Outside of the courthouse, church members stood in solidarity with the preacher's wife.
We had a special prayer for her at church last night, and we forgave her.
It's in God's plan, but there has to be a reason, because if we can't believe that, we cannot go on.
Mary's supporters believe that her years of alleged abuse culminated in the accidental shooting death of her husband. But investigators say the real motive in this case was money.
Early on in the investigation, TBI was interviewing local banks, and they more or less came to the TBI and said, we got to tell you what's going on here.
Investigators have learned from bank officials that Mary was in over her head financially after they say she got caught up in a so-called lottery scam, which was sweeping the country.
A lottery scam is when you get email or even a letter that tells you that you have won a lottery.
Here's how it works. The scammer sends a counterfeit check for an initial payment worth thousands of dollars. Now, in return, you're supposed to send them money to cover the processing fees.
The scammers make money off what you send them. Meanwhile, all you get is a worthless check.
Mary had entered all sorts of things. So when she got this saying that she'd won $250,000, she believed it.
What do we have here?
These are bogus checks.
So Mary Winkler got these checks in the mail.
Yes.
And she thought, wow, $4,880, $4,900.
Yeah. You're going to receive a lot more once you send us the money, but she did not send the money back. She kept all the money. Back in those days, if a person deposited a check or cashed a check, they would actually receive the complete amount of money because it immediately went into your bank account.
Back then, you just didn't have the automation like you have today. So it could take weeks for the checks to come back as counterfeit. So when that happened, the banks wanted their money back from Mary, over $16,000.
And that is when investigators allege Mary cooked up a scheme of her own to cover her losses.
She was actually writing checks for one bank to cover checks at another bank.
What investigators say Mary was doing is called check kiting, floating funds between banks, and that's where the kite comes in.
And in doing so, she knew that she didn't have the funds in that bank to cover the charges, and that is an illegal act.
It's easy to see how desperation can lead you down that path where you're trying to find a way out and you don't know what to do.
Was there any evidence that Matthew, her husband, the minister, was in on this or knew about it?
We have no evidence because he never went to the bank. He never had his name on anything. These other accounts was in her name, so he wouldn't have access to her accounts.
According to investigators, Mary went to great lengths to conceal her alleged financial crimes from Matthew.
They say she opened up a personal account out of town, changed her mailing address to a P.O. box.
And she even tried to remove Matthew's name from their bank account. But investigators say Mary's alleged financial scheme fell apart after one late deposit sent her bank account into a tailspin.
I think it got a little out of hand because she got at some point like $5,000 overdrawn, which is a really bad position to be in. $5,000 in 2006 on a small town pastor's pay and a substitute teacher. You might as well say $100,000.
Things came to a head on March 21st, 2006. That day, Mary Winkler was working as a substitute teacher here at Selmer Elementary School. She receives an urgent call from the bank asking her to come in the very next day to clear up her overdrawn account. And they tell her to bring her husband, Matthew, along.
In fact, in this statement to TBI, Mary admitted to having a heated discussion with Matthew about their finances the night before the shooting. She says, "I had gotten a call from the bank, and we were having troubles, mostly my fault, bad bookkeeping." And then she goes on to say that the two were upset with each other and that she got to a point and snapped.
Do you think this is why she killed him?
Oh, yes, that somebody's going to have to face the music, and it was going to come back on her.
There must have been a lot of pressure on Mary to keep that away from Matthew. It was going to be embarrassing for the Church of Christ congregation. It was going to speak very loudly that something's amiss in this family. It's a reflection of the church. It's a reflection of God.
How's Mary feeling?
Prosecutors might think this is an open and shut case, but as Mary's murder trial gets underway, no one could imagine the twists and turns to come.
Mary Winkler had what appeared to everyone a marriage made in heaven, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell.
Miss Winkler, if you'll come forward, please, ma'am.
And when the demure preacher's wife takes the stand, dark and lurid details would soon come to light.
Did it hurt you?
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness gracious.
This is stuff that doesn't happen to church folks.
Preacher's wife does not wear this kind of shoe.
Had there been a quiet rage brewing?
We could not have fathomed what actually did come out, not in our wildest thoughts.
You go inside the house. What did he say?
He never knew what was coming.
They're talking about the spiritual leader of the community. And now he's got a hellacious shotgun wound in his back. And his wife wants you to believe that she was driven to it.
She certainly wasn't acting like someone who shot her husband in the back.
I don't know that anyone anywhere had any idea of what was to come in this trial.
So it got heated in the jury room.
How are you going to defend yourself?
He threatened me with the shotgun many times, put it in my face.
Mary Winkler appeared to have had a marriage made in heaven, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell.
When they brought out the shoe and the wig, there was a gasp in the courtroom.
Maybe you want me to wear it? To dress up?
Dress up for what purpose, Mary?
Sex.
Oh my God, wow.
But if you looked up spousal abuse in the dictionary, you're going to see Mary Winkler's picture looking back at you.
Was Mary Winkler a victim or a villain?
Will the real Mary Winkler please stand up?
A grand jury had indicted Mary Winkler on a first-degree murder charge for the killing of her preacher husband, Matthew Winkler. She pled not guilty and went back to McMinnville after her father posted her $750,000 bond. Mary's 3 girls continued living with Matthew's parents, whom they'd been with since Mary's arrest.
Everywhere, everyone was covering the story of Mary Winkler. When you put the story in a nutshell, this preacher's wife shoots her husband in the back while he's sleeping and then takes her daughters to the beach. That sounds outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. How can you not follow that story?
Well, people were wondering what would bring someone to this breaking point. What would cause them to have their ugly come out? And I think that was the big question.
And the fact this happened in the heart of the South, in the Bible Belt, was like fascinating to people because it wasn't supposed to happen. These are supposed to be godly people. Well, you know, godly does not mean perfect. And Mary proved that very well.
So this is the cleaners where Mary worked?
Yes. We're at the dry cleaners, Dry Cleaning Express, where Mary worked during her bond supervision. I would have to come and check on her.
What were your impressions of her during that bond period?
She was just real quiet, reserved.
We all just really loved her, and, you know, we got to be good friends. And we picked up a lot of new customers from her church that has decided to do business here because they want to be supportive of Mary.
But one question dividing the people of the town following the case at the time, was Mary actually the quiet preacher's wife everyone thought they knew, or was there another side to her, like the one Libby St. John and her husband at the time saw one night at a restaurant in McMinnville?
Well, we had been in there sitting at the bar, and Mary came in, and she was chain smoking cigarettes and drinking. It just seemed like she was so carefree that evening that it just shocked me. I almost wanted to go over there and say, listen, this isn't a good idea for you to be doing this. The owner of that establishment said while she was out on bond, she'd been there to celebrate several different occasions and her birthday recently. And so She'd been there several times. It just wasn't a one-off. You don't usually see Church of Christ preachers' wives smoking. She certainly wasn't acting like someone who'd shot her husband in the back.
And your husband at the time starts taking pictures.
He took them with his cell phone. The pictures made quite a splash when they came out.
These cell phone pictures, first obtained by Action News 5, are the talk of this quiet town.
I remember the bar pictures, the very things that seemed completely out of character from what anybody's seen.
She was not supposed to be drinking.
Well, I think that basically it was not excessive alcohol. I think that's what was on the bond.
But it didn't look good.
No, I'm sure it didn't look, no, it probably didn't look good. Didn't sit well with people.
The way this came to us, this was like walking into a Kafka novel. Nothing lines up with logic.
Her life was taking some strange turns that didn't make any sense.
Her outward appearance changed, her clothing changed. It was like someone flipped a switch.
And when she started kind of hanging out at night, there was a feeling that this was a little quick. Why are you doing this? Maybe were you that the whole time? And it just gave people pause.
Will the real Mary Winkler please stand up? Is she the quiet, docile minister's wife, or is she something quite different?
With the trial gearing up, everyone was about to hear a tale they never expected from the preacher's wife.
Yeah. I don't know that anyone in Selma, and few people anywhere, had any idea of what was to come in this trial.
Mary's murder trial began on April 9, 2007, with the prosecution pushing for a first-degree conviction. The case was one of the biggest things the small town of Selma, Tennessee has ever seen. The media put this tiny courthouse right in the middle of the public's attention.
Television stations from Nashville, from Memphis, some from Huntsville, Alabama, were there in the courthouse because this was such a big story.
What was interesting was Mary Winkler arriving with her attorneys, appearing about as meek as you could appear.
Inside, the courtroom was packed, and the crowd included members of both families.
You had Matthew Winkler's parents there. Mary Winkler's family was there, her father.
We may begin with opening statements. The state may proceed first.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Walt Freeland. I'm an assistant district attorney. My strategy, like in every case, is to put on all my facts, because facts are stubborn things. You have to set aside whatever you think might have happened and just listen to the facts. There is no good reason why Matthew Winkler was murdered by Mary Winkler.
The jurors are about to hear Mary's interrogation tape, where she says she snapped because of Matthew.
He would knock your self-esteem down?
No, just chewing whatever. And that's the problem. I have nerve now, and I have self-esteem. And so my ugly came out.
Just kind of got to a boiling point. Just boil over.
There's no sense, just say the lady was a moron, evil woman, and let's go on with it.
Prosecutors bring out that big, powerful shotgun that was used to kill Matthew. The point being to show the jurors that this could not have been an accident.
You couldn't just pick the gun up and pull the trigger unless it had been racked.
Could you prime it or pump it or whatever it takes to get it in a functioning position? Could you do that?
Yes, sir.
By racking the shotgun, it places a shotgun shell in the chamber so it can be fired. The fact that she did tells me she had already thought in her mind what it was going to be like to shoot that shotgun. All that leads me to believe premeditation.
But to rebut the prosecution's theory of premeditated murder, the defense will call their star witness.
The defense calls the defendant, Mary Carol Winkler.
The only person alive who knows exactly what happened the day Matthew was killed.
Someone said to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
Yes, I did.
The most important witness in this trial, the one that everyone anticipated, takes the stand. She testifies to some pretty shocking stuff.
The jury has just heard audio of Mary Winkler's interrogation, where she seems to imply that she suddenly snapped because of her husband Matthew's treatment of her.
I have nerve now, and I have self-esteem, and so my ugly came out.
Prosecutors tell the jury that Mary's real motive for the killing had nothing to do with Matthew's treatment of her. Instead, they say that the motive was about that alleged financial fraud they claim she was knee-deep in.
This was a premeditated act because Mary Winkler was in control.
Although investigators believe that the money was the motive in this case, they never charged Mary with any financial crimes.
She was the one that handled the finances. The finances were in shambles.
A bank investigator testifies that Mary had allegedly been scamming banks out of thousands of dollars by writing checks to herself and then floating money from one account to another.
These deposits were drawn off of the same bank, First State Bank, and were deposited within days of each other into the ATM at Regions.
So this check from Mary Winkler to Mary Winkler for $2,000 was deposited into Mary Winkler's personal account on March 20th, 2006.
Correct.
March 22nd, 2006, Mary Winkler and her husband Matthew were supposed to go to the bank and explain where the money came from, where the money went, and how they were going to pay it back.
The house of cards which she had set up was falling down. March 22nd was the day it ended up that he was shot.
The prosecution claimed that Mary killed her husband Matthew because of the deep financial hole that she had dug for herself. But when it was the defense's turn, they painted a very different picture of Mary, claiming she was the victim in this case and Matthew was the villain.
Mary Winkler appeared to have had a marriage made in heaven, but behind closed doors, it was a living hell. The proof will show that Mary was his whipping boy.
Part of the defense strategy was to put Matthew on trial. They put on the stand a church secretary who claimed she overheard some really harsh words coming from Matthew to Mary.
The tone, the sounds were of anger, berating.
What did you say to Matthew?
Those are things that a husband shouldn't say to a wife. You are to be a leader by example and not by force.
Another witness to take the stand was Mary's own sister Tabitha. And she said Mary complained that Matthew tried to keep her away from her family and control her every move.
How would he act to her?
He pretty much dictated anything that she did. She wasn't allowed to make any decisions for herself. She would have to say, I have to check with Matt, and it was usually no.
There was testimony from the defense about how Matthew could act aggressively, but there was not a lot of information. And the jury may have thought, well, if he was this awful man, wouldn't more people have seen more?
Defense ready to call us next witness.
We are, Your Honor.
But the defense then called Mary herself, and she testified in explicit detail.
The defense calls the defendant, Mary Carol Winkler,
about exactly what she said happened behind closed doors.
Miss Winkler, if you'll come forward, please, ma'am.
As she took the stand, all eyes in the courtroom were riveted on Mary.
Mary Winkler was up there, appearing meeker than you would think anyone could. For much of the testimony, it appeared to be her head was down in shame.
Now remember, the state argued that Mary intentionally killed her husband to cover up a messy web of alleged fraudulent check kiting. But on the stand, Mary had a simple answer. Matthew made her do it.
Who directed those deposits?
Matthew told me where to put them, and I put them in the bank.
Mary also testified that Matthew knew that the banks were demanding answers over the financial issues with their accounts.
He was upset, and I just tried to continue encouraging him if he would please go in and do that.
Did he say he would?
He said he would, but he had been saying that for weeks.
Mary explained to the jury that she didn't stand up for herself because she was so afraid of Matthew's volatility and his temper.
How did he act when he yelled and screamed at you?
He flailed. He just was all over. He would just be furious. He went from certain threats to more serious threats.
Can you be specific to the jury about any threats?
He told me one time that he was going to cut the brake lines out of the van. He threatened me with the shotgun many times, putting it in my face. He told me if I ever talked back to him, that he would cut me into a million pieces.
Dan and Diane Winkler sat through a trial where they heard some awful things about their son, and it had to be very difficult for them. And their faces were stoic, but you could also see how it was affecting them too.
When I asked her about abuse, I said, well, you know, did he physically abuse you? And she said, oh no. I believe her to this day that he never abused her.
There was no indication from any of the people interviewed that Mary had ever disclosed it to them as a friend, or it never came out about any physical abuse. She described Matthew as being a fine man, and there was never a hint of any abuse.
But it turns out that Mary's testimony about alleged abuse on the part of Matthew was just the tip of the iceberg. This case is moving in another direction.
The one question that nobody will forget is when Steve Farice handed her a bag.
What's in that sack, Mary? Put it up on the screen.
When she was testifying to all of this, oh my God, wow. This is amazing testimony. This is shocking testimony. Almost couldn't believe it.
On trial for the murder of her preacher husband, Matthew. Mary Winkler tells jurors that she was living in a marriage from hell.
I had asked Matthew to have a divorce, and he absolutely denied it. That would not be allowed.
That was not an option?
No, sir.
According to who?
Matthew.
Preachers can't get a divorce. People want to know, okay, how do you preach the things you preach, and you're divorced?
Mary's defense team would also expose what they said was another dark side of the Winklers' marriage. One that would take this trial into a surprisingly different arena.
What's in that sack, Mary?
Shoe and a wig.
Show me the shoe that's in there. Put it up on the side there. Is that the kind of shoe that you would wear to church?
No, sir.
Where'd you get that wig, Mary?
From Matthew.
Well, why was that shoe bought, Mary?
Matthew wanted me to wear it to dress up.
Dress up for what purpose, Mary?
Sex.
When they brought out the shoe and the wig and put those on the witness stand, there was a gasp in the courtroom. It was just a moment in this case, I think, that everything turned. And then hearing the preacher's wife accuse her dead husband of all of these things that were not allowed in the Churches of Christ congregations. These were sins.
Mary testified that Matthew had porn up on a computer and wanted her to watch it.
What would occur after he'd asked you to look at the photographs?
Go have sex.
Did he ever ask you to engage in any type of sex that you felt was unnatural?
Yes, sir. He just wanted to have sex with my bottom.
Did it hurt you?
Yes, sir.
The people in the courtroom, when she was testifying to all of this, you could kind of see on their faces, like, oh my God, wow, this is shocking testimony.
For the life of me, I have never understood how wearing platform shoes and a wig for your husband gives you the right to shoot him in the back with a shotgun.
While the details of the Winklers' sex life caused a huge buzz inside the courtroom, the questions at hand were why and how Matthew was shot to death. And for the very first time, people heard Mary talk about what she says happened that morning, describing how it all started with the cries of their baby daughter.
Matthew kicked me out of the bed. He just caught me somewhere in the low of my back and I was on the floor.
What happened next?
He walked out of the room and then I got up and went after him.
Mary said she then saw Matthew covering the baby's nose and mouth to keep her from crying, something that she said he had done before.
What was he doing?
Suffocating her. I said, could I please have her? He just threw his arms up and walked out and walked away from the crib.
Mary says she was so disturbed by this incident that she followed Matthew back to the bedroom and she wanted to confront him about it.
I just wanted to talk to Matthew.
What did you want to talk to him about?
I just wanted to stop being so mean.
Mary testified she was afraid to talk to her husband and then found herself holding Matthew's shotgun.
Do you remember ever having a gun, holding a gun?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember ever pointing a gun?
No, sir.
Did you pull the trigger?
No, sir.
Did you intentionally, purposefully kill your husband?
No, sir.
Did you love your husband?
Yes, sir.
You still love him?
Yes, sir.
Mary had been very vague and foggy about a gun going off, which is a classic defense statement. They use the passive voice. They don't say, I shot a gun. They say, a gun went off.
So what was it that led you into the position of accidentally shooting Matthew Winkler?
I just wanted to talk to him.
It wasn't an accident, was it?
Yes, sir.
You just wanted to talk to him and he wouldn't listen. So you shot him in the middle of the back while he was asleep. Now, has that memory come back to you, Miss Winkler?
No, sir.
You recall telling Agent Carpenter you remember hearing a loud boom and remember thinking it wasn't as loud as I thought it would be.
I don't recall telling him that.
Do you remember today if you told Matthew that you were sorry and that you loved him?
Yes.
The defense called a licensed psychologist to the stand who had met with Mary several times, and she testified that the reason Mary might not be able to remember the details of the shooting was because she had been traumatized by Matthew's treatment of her.
It's my professional opinion that Mary does suffer from a post-traumatic stress disorder, and at the time that this occurred, she was in a dissociated episode where she was not able to think or plan the way she normally would be able to do.
After 10 days of evidence and testimony, it's time for closing arguments.
Unfortunately, Matthew Winkler couldn't practice what he was preaching. His problem was that of a bully. And what bullies do is they pick on people that are smaller than them. And I say to you that if you looked up spousal abuse in the dictionary, you're going to see Mary Winkler's picture looking back at you.
He was brutally, premeditatedly, and intentionally killed, shot in the middle of his back as he slept. He did not deserve to die. Justice demands one verdict, and that is guilty of murder in the first degree.
Now the jury has a big decision. Couldn't Mary have gotten out of a bad marriage some other way? Or is she just a cold-blooded killer? This very debate is going to spark some fireworks in that jury room.
So it got heated in the jury room?
Very much so. Oh, I was ready to come across that table and strangle her.
This morning, the jury is in deliberations, and Mary Winkler's fate hangs in the balance.
Emotions ran high as jurors seemed hopelessly divided on whether Matthew Winkler's death was murder or a fatal accident.
There was some that didn't feel like she should get anything. They were ready to let her walk. They felt like he deserved what he got. And then you had some that was like, yes, she was abused, but she did take a life, and that she should get something out of it.
We were very stressed during that time because we didn't know how to work it out.
So it got heated in the
It
jury
did.
room?
Very much so.
I hear that you got frustrated because one of the jurors wouldn't even admit that she pulled the trigger.
Yes.
Refused to believe it.
And I looked at her and I was like, what? I was ready to come across that table and strangle her because I thought that was completely ridiculous.
The jury also had doubts about the prosecution's claim that Mary killed Matthew to avoid embarrassment over their alleged financial troubles.
People did not care about the money aspect of it. That was not what was on our minds.
Even though she was called by the bank to go see them the next day, the day he was shot?
No, at the very forefront was the abuse. It never wavered from the forefront of our thoughts.
The jurors could convict Mary of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary or involuntary manslaughter, and it's anyone's guess where they were going to go.
And now you are looking at a live picture inside the courtroom. There you see Matthew Winkler's family, and they're all waiting for the jury.
After 8 hours of deliberation, the jury had finally reached a verdict.
And members of the jury are expected to read that verdict coming up momentarily.
Ms. Winkler, if you could please stand, ma'am.
And in true Mary Winkler fashion, she remained stoic as the verdict was read.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Mary C. Winkler, guilty of voluntary manslaughter.
There was a little bit of a gasp in the audience. I don't know that many people expected her to be convicted of anything less than first-degree murder.
With voluntary manslaughter, there is an intent to kill, but you were provoked by something.
There you see Mary Winkler's father, and he looks a little bit surprised there.
To the shock of Mary's supporters and the dismay of Matthews, Mary will face just 3 to 6 years behind bars.
Would this jury have allowed Mary to walk free?
Part of them would have.
No comment.
They felt like she had already lived through prison with the life that she lived, and that it was justified and that she deserved to be free.
That's why you compromised and agreed to the lesser charge?
Yes, because I didn't want her to walk.
In Tennessee, 33-year-old Mary Winkler is awaiting sentencing after being found guilty of killing her preacher husband.
Mary, how you feeling?
On June 8, 2007, everyone gathered in the courtrooms for Mary's sentencing as she pled for mercy.
I think of Matthew every day in the guild, and I'll always miss him and love him. There were bad times, but there were good times, and I wish I could have that good Matthew, and that we could live together forever.
If I were Matthew's parents, that statement would have felt like a kick in the teeth. It was so disregarding of their feelings on facing this reality.
Matthew was a wonderful person. He loved life. He loved his family. He loved the Lord God with all of his heart and soul and mind. The monster that you have painted for the world to see, I don't think that monster existed. There's been no remorse from you. You've never told your girls you're sorry. Don't you think you at least owe them that? You've never told us you're sorry. I think you at least owe us that.
I can understand why a mother would more than ask that. And I would think a mother, as in Mary, would also want to apologize. The damage is done.
When the judge handed down the sentence, you could have heard a pin drop in that room.
The defendant is hereby sentenced to a term of 3 years for sentences to be served in split confinement with 210 days of incarceration with appropriate credit to be given.
With time served, Mary Winkler spent only 1 more week in jail in this very cell, and then 60 days in a mental health facility. To her supporters, it was a clear victory, but to others, it was nothing more than a slap on the wrist.
People were very shocked by that sentence and really couldn't believe it.
Matthew's parents had to feel betrayed by the system. They had to feel as if the jury had been played.
When you found out that she was going to get such a short sentence, what went through your mind?
I was heartbroken, actually. I felt like I had failed. I felt like I had failed, like I didn't do my part, that I had let her off.
I believe she should have served more time, but we did what we did because that was all we could do.
After the trial, the town of Selma remained divided over whether Mary really got justice. Meanwhile, for Mary, the saga isn't over.
After the sentencing, the public thought, okay, that's it. They've heard everything, but it was not.
She wasn't finished talking. She wanted to tell her story to everyone.
Hey. Hi, Oprah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Tell me why you wanted to have this conversation today.
After serving an additional 7 days in jail, Mary Winkler finished out the remainder of her sentence at an undisclosed mental health facility. And while there, she had a visitor on the weekends. Turns out, while she had been working at the dry cleaners, she struck up a relationship with her boss's brother. His name? Darrell Pillow.
I saw interest in Mary, and I thought Mary saw interest in me.
Darrell Pillow says sparks flew. It was instant attraction when he first met Mary at his brother's dry cleaners.
I was attracted to Mary. I mean, we do have a lot in common. You know, we laugh. We got the same hobbies. It felt very normal. It felt like it was meant to be, you know, that we was meant to be together. I know the first time that we sat on the couch and I hugged her and she said, oh, this is, you know, I missed this, you know, and that's what she needed. She needed somebody to hold her and hug her.
I remember hearing that she may have had a new acquaintance.
She was just a very sweet girl. I mean, it's just it felt normal to be with Mary. Now, I never felt scared or threatened. Our relationship was on, we had an adult relationship.
Even though Mary was in a mental health facility, Darrell says he would come to visit her on weekends. The two were able to get closer, and he says they even got to the point where they discussed marriage.
We kind of joked around about it, you know, but it wasn't nothing serious. It's not like we set a date or, you know, maybe years down the road it may happen. I don't know. But it, you know, the option's there.
But soon after Mary was released from the facility, Darrell says she ended things with him.
She just said, Darrell, I've got to be single right now. And I said, that's fine. She needs to be focused on her children. And that's where she's at right now. She is focused on her children.
Since her arrest, even though she had visitation rights, Mary's 3 daughters had been living with Matthew's parents, Diane and Dan Winkler.
But once back in McMinnville and now living with friends, Mary is on a mission to get those 3 girls back.
Mary's got a long way to go, but she's on her road. She's on the way. She's going to make it. Since she's gotten back home, the Mary that we came to know and love, the grinning, the cutting up, you know, she's back.
Mary was determined to fight. And one way she could do that was by being the perfect parolee.
How do you think her time in jail impacted her life?
Well, she had time to think about what happened, I'm sure, and reflect on what she had done, and I'm sure she wanted to get out so she'd get back with her children as soon as possible. Her children were very important to her.
She lives and breathes every day for those girls. What she wants to do is get on with her life, let people leave her alone, get her girls back, and mourn her husband. That's her words.
Now back home, the once shy and demure former preacher's wife, who wanted a quiet life, raised eyebrows again after making one of her first stops the Oprah Winfrey Show, telling Oprah she hoped by speaking out, her story might help others.
An Oprah exclusive. For the first time, Mary Winkler, the wife who killed her pastor husband.
Mary Winkler appeared on Oprah just as she appeared on the stand. Very soft-spoken, very meek and mild. And but I remember Oprah wasn't buying any of it. You know, Oprah didn't let her off the hook.
Was a shotgun in the baby's room?
No, we kept it in the closet. It's just, I can't, there's a lot of things that don't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, imagine, it doesn't make sense to me either.
I know.
She kept prying and asking her and just telling her, okay, help me make sense of this.
The gun is aimed at him at some point. Do you remember that?
Well, no, because when I heard the boom, I just took out of there and took off running.
And then Mary explained to Oprah the importance of getting those girls back.
I'm their mother.
You killed their father.
I did not want any of this to happen.
Even though the girls had been living at Matthew's parents' home, the Winklers wanted to formalize it. They filed a lawsuit to adopt their granddaughters and terminate Mary's parental rights.
Mary Winkler looked happy and confident when she walked into the courthouse in Huntington for another showdown with her former in-laws over custody of her 3 daughters.
But there's still one more turn to come in Mary's roller coaster ride of a life.
Her life seems to be normal, except for one thing.
One more startling secret to reveal.
Something else had happened to Mary Winkler that was surprising, shocking.
Since her arrest, Mary Winkler has been locked in a custody battle with Matthew's parents. And finally, after months without her children, they reach an informal agreement out of court, giving Mary permission to take her 3 daughters back.
My girls are my girls, and I'm their mother, and we were just put back together, and we picked up where we were separated.
I know.
Come here, Emma.
After finally getting her children back, Mary Winkler sits down for one more exclusive interview with Janice Broach to reveal yet another setback in her life.
Tonight, Mary Winkler is back, and she has a secret.
I had found out that Mary had been diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis.
My right hand and my right foot were completely disabled, could not use. And so I was very fortunate that I have been able to come back to full capacity.
17 years after she shot her husband, Mary Winkler lives a quiet life. But to this day, there are still lingering questions in Selmer about whether justice was served in her case.
I believe that she actually got away with murder of her husband. Justice was not served, in my opinion.
Was Mary Winkler a victim or a villain?
Both.
Did Mary get away with murder?
Yes, she did.
She's going to have to answer for what she did. It's not up to me to forgive her. What she did is between her and Matthew and his family and God.
As for Matthew's parents, this tragedy that befell their son is still painfully close to their hearts.
His father, Dan, can be seen giving a sermon in this Palm Beach Lakes Church of Christ video, posted on YouTube just last month.
18 years ago, trauma knocked on the front door of our house, and we lost a son. I live with that emptiness all of the time, and it's been almost 2 decades, but I remember the sound of his voice. And every time we sit down at a Christmas table as a family, there's an empty place.
A father still grieving. Our own John Quinones reached out to Mary Winkler at her home, but she told him she didn't want to talk about what happened all those years ago.
That's right, David. She said she's moved on and she's busy taking care of her 3 daughters. Those daughters are now 18, 24, and 26. That's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
अल्फ अल्लाह की जात तू ऐ झोर सदके जेड़ो कुल कायनात चलाण आलो अल्फ अल्लाह की जात तू झोर सदके जेड़ो कुल कायनात चलाण आलो हुक्म उस है बाजना पतर अल्लाह ओ तेरो मेरो वजूद बनाण आलो 18,000 मखलूक गो ऐ मालिक सुनो रब सुनो जमीन आसमान आलो अर्श फर्श लो कलम महफूज कुर्सी जिया जून ना रिज़्क खिलाण आलो दाल दुखांगी गल सो नौरे तमना एक बच्ची मासूम रोलाओ गई है दाल दुखांगी गल सो नौरे तमना एक बच्ची मासूम रोलाओ गई है ओ उसकी मारे गुलनाज है बहुत दुखिया ये मारा सीना माँ बर छिलाओ गई है नाओ बच्ची गो अफसा में मूद सोनो रोग उमरा गो सुनी लाओ गई है ओ जिला पुणछ गिरा शिंदरा सोनो ऐ दुखिया दिलाना अफजारो लाओ गई है दाल दर्द जो दयागा ऐ बोते ओ खाए पर बचागी नारे जो दई ओवे दाल दर्द जो दयागा ऐ बोते ओ खाए पर बचागी नारे जो दई होवे ओ माना सबर करार फिर नहीं रहा तो दफ्ते जिगर की जद जो दई होवे ते बाप उसको मैं मुँह दियो सेन दुखिया अफसा जही बची सीने लाई होवे ओ दुख मुझ जावेद माँ बाप नावे ओ बचा किसे ही नारे जो दई होवे तेरे हो रब गा कर तमाम होए आस्तारा अप्रैल ना खुशी भरपूर होई रे हो रब गा कर तमाम होए आस्तारा अप्रैल ना खुशी भरपूर होई ओ अल्लाह पाक ने दिती एक बच्चियों सोनी ऐ गुनाहगारां अर्ज मंजूर होई दिन मां दाखिल रही महारात ऐ 10 बजे ऑपरेशन होयो ते टेंशन दूर होई ओ दीती खबर फिर आनी उन डॉक्टरां ने हो गई बची पर बड़ी कमजोरी होई सलाह दीती वीर डॉक्टर है कमजोर बची ले गए बीच मशीन रखाओ दीती सलाह दीती डॉक्टर है कमजोर बची ले गए बीच मशीन रखाओ दीती 18-19 तक रखी पुणछ अंदर और पर इकी नर जोरी कराओ दीती आई रात 9 बजे मामू आई नानी दोए गड्डी तरफ जोरी चलाओ दीती ओ भाषा देरी ना लाई ले चल गया ओ 12 बजे जोरी पहुंचाओ दीती किसना चैन सकून फिरे आई उस दिन तो रास्ता बिच डाडा परेशान होया आई किसना चैन सकून फिरे आई उस दिन तो रास्ता बिच डाडा परेशान होया रात 12 बजे जोरी पुजया कि जल्दी डॉक्टरां कोल रवाने होया आई डॉक्टर नब्ज तके मुतू ये बोल न सके असली राज तू बे वो हैरान होया ओ अमानत रब की है तम सबर करियो ए आपसा बची गारू वे रवानी होया ते किसना होश रे ओ सुनी ये खबर जिस दम आया है आप जाए अमना छोड़ गई है। ऐ किसना होश रे ओ सुनी ये खबर जिस दम आया है आप जाए अमना छोड़ गई है। ये एम्बुलेंस करी वापस पुणच चलना मारी किस्मत अज मुखरे मोड़ गई है। आई गुलनाज वाणी अरे मान बाकी मेरी खुशी ना किंगा तू रोड़ गई है। दाखिल बीच अस्पताल थी पुणछ अंदर ये मां गुलनाज गो दिल क्यों तोड़ गई है। अप्रैल बईना सुबह गए आई 5 बजे वतन शींदरा पुजे आयान सदके। अप्रैल बईना सुबह गए 5 बजे वतन शींदरा पुजे आयान सदके। ये माना 10 बजे एम्बुलेंस आने तेरा तकन गाय अफजायर मान सदके। ते कितना दुख था महंगा ऐ काल जामा जाने वाया रब रहमान सदके। और वे बाप महमूद परवेज नानी नाले रोवे सजाद यमान सदके। ते कफन दफन गोविलो हुणे यार गयो इना दुकाना हुण मीटौरे किसरा। कफन दफन गोविलो हुणे हार गयो इना दुकाना हुण मीटौरे किसरा। ओ जीता मांगे बचा गो टूर जानो इस शेर बर कलम चनो किसरा। ते अच्छा रब वाले हुणे आई छोड़ गई है तीना सिना नालू हुण लो किसरा। सबर या तो नी दिल मां याद तेरी रोता दिला ना चुप करूं किसरा। फिया मान इना दुखाने आई मुकणो नी 4 बजे रे आपदा दफनाओ छोड़ी। आई फिया मान इना दुखाने मुकणो नी 4 बजे रे आपदा दफनाओ छोड़ी। वतन पुणछ गिरा शींदरा अंदर ओ सोनी निकी जी कबर बनाओ छोड़ी। सबर करियो महमूद गुल नाज दोए मानत रब गी रब ने छुपाओ छोड़ी ओए पिया मान जावे तू इजाजत ले ले जख्म मोड़ी भी क्यों रे दुखाओ छोड़ी